F1 has had many young prospects come into the sport, with Arvid Lindblad and Kimi Antonelli being the most recent. But there's an even more exciting prospect on the horizon, and that's 17-year-old British racer Freddie Slater. And he's just signed to F1's newest driver academy with Audi. Now, Freddie Slater is like any young prospect in the fact that he's on the path to F1 and racking up wins in multiple series. But there's a big difference. But let me catch you up on him first. Where Kimi Antonelli was put into an F1 seat at a young age, and Arvid Lindblad has been in the Red Bull system for years, Slater has a much different approach. Freddie Slater's path has been a lot more independent, a lot slower, and a lot more uncertain than other drivers. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing in his case. He's had more difficulty in having to prove himself at every level without an F1 team's backing. But it hasn't mattered because he's yet to come short. Slater is 17 years old, and while that's now considered old by the standards of when some of the other guys made it to F1, he has played it a lot more patiently. Slater's won nearly everything he's competed in, from the World Karting Championship to Ginetta Junior cars to now single series titles like FRECA, and he really isn't showing any signs of slowing down anytime soon. Like I just mentioned, the first of his endeavors that I'm going to go into is the 2020 World Karting Championship in the junior category. The junior drive class was introduced in 2010, and plenty of drivers we see in Formula 1 today competed there, but not many actually won there. As a matter of fact, the only driver to win the championship in the junior class and make it to F1 was Logan Sargent. Anyways, Freddie Slater won the junior category in 2020 over names like Arvid Lindblad, Nikola Solov, and Yuga Yukashukwo, and it marked his first step towards F1. He competed in the series again in 2021 and came second, and his next step from there was Ginetta Junior. Before we get into Ginetta, a very pivotal moment in Freddie Slater's career came at this point. The World Karting Championship obviously comes with a lot of attention, and a good bit of that comes from F1 teams and wanting to sign drivers to their development programs. And many drivers would snatch up the opportunity at the first chance they get, but Slater didn't. Quoted from him, "When a lot of the karting people win world championships, there's a lot of attention. A lot of Formula 1 teams did approach, but at that point, it's not right. Sometimes contracts aren't good, sometimes stuff isn't right, it's not the right timing, you don't need a big name to yourself, to your name, and all of that. Looking at it from this point in time, it was actually very different, ballsy, and a smart decision for the future. But I'll get more into that later when we discuss his current situation." Now, if you're unfamiliar with Ginetta Junior, it's a multi-event racing championship held in England and Scotland, where they all drive these cars, known as Ginetta G40s. Now, as you can see, these are not single-seaters, but Slater was still very young and had not made his single-seater debut as of yet. So 2022 was filled with more karting and these Ginetta cars, but this wasn't exactly uncharted territory. Some notable drivers that have competed in the series that you may recognize include Jamie Chadwick, Luke Browning, and Lando Norris, so it is a valid series to partake in. Slater finished 15th in his rookie season in 2022, but that was only taking part in 9 of the 25 races. He also took part in the winter edition of the series, which was only 4 races, but Slater took 3 of those wins and won the championship by 20 points at just 14 years of age. He returned to the normal version of the series in 2023 and won it all by participating in 20 of the 26 races, and won 16 of those, and was ahead of second place by 50 points. It was an incredible stat line and a remarkable amount of dominance that set him up for a future in single-seaters. For the rest of the year, Slater would get a couple of appearances in British F4, Euro F4, Italian F4, and UAE F4, scoring pretty decent points for a debutant in each, and he locked in his plans to be in F4 full-time in 2024. The plan for 2024 was a full season in Italian F4, but in preparation for that, he competed in Formula 4 in the United Arab Emirates with the Mumbai Falcons, and he just happened to win the entire thing. That kind of momentum carried into the Italian series, where he just dominated. Early on, he got crowned champion in race 2 of round 6 in Barcelona, and managed a crazy 15 wins, 11 pole positions, and 10 fastest laps across the season. This broke the series record for most wins in a season, which was previously held by Kimi Antonelli with 13 wins in 2022. He also broke the record for largest points margin in the series history, beating second place by 143 points. And if that wasn't enough, Slater decided 2 F4 campaigns weren't enough, and he raced in the Euro F4 Championship with Prema at the end of the year. Unfortunately, he didn't win this time around, but he still managed a P2 in the championship after coming second to Indian driver Akshay Bora. After a pretty successful 2024, the move for 2025 was the Formula Regional European Championship, or FRECA for short. Once again, Slater decided to prepare for the season with a series in the Middle East, but this time, Formula Regional Middle East, once again with Mumbai Falcons. The season was a pretty hard-fought battle with driver Evan Giltaire, as the two went back and forth claiming wins, but Giltaire eventually won the championship. Anyways, that led into the main series of the year, FRECA, which was a big jump in terms of competition and how big the stage was. FRECA raced across Europe, and Slater went against drivers that had beat him in the past, like Akshay Bora and Evan Giltaire, like I mentioned before, and other guys like current McLaren Jr. Matteo De Paula. Regardless of whatever pressure and whatever competition, it was business as usual for Slater, as he won the championship, beating all those guys I mentioned, and he really solidified himself as being that guy going forward. But through all of this, he still hadn't signed with the driver academy. What really separates Slater from a lot of junior drivers, though, isn't just raw speed. It's how complete his skill set already looks. He doesn't just impress in qualifying, then drive off into the distance, and a lot of his wins actually come from controlling races, adapting to conditions, and knowing exactly when to push and when to back off, which is incredibly uncommon in junior drivers. We've already seen this in FRECA, where tire management plays a much bigger role than F4, and for someone his age, the skill set is extremely rare, and it's something that carries into a high-level category a lot more than just simple pace. 2025 also included some select appearances in GB3 and F3. In GB3, he competed in 9 races, and his first qualifying in the series, he broke the track record at Silverstone, and won 2 of the 3 races there. He also had a really impressive performance at Spa, where he went from last on the grid to win in a treacherous wet-to-dry thriller, showing not only his speed, but his adaptability also. Those F3 appearances also came, but as a sub instead of by being planned, with both of the sprint and feature racing in Bahrain and the sprint at Spa. For a debut in F3, he qualified P10 out of the 30 drivers, meaning he started on the second row for the sprint and ended up P2 on debut, and scored a podium, which most of the full-time drivers were unable to do across the whole season. Spa was a bit unfortunate with the struggle with tire wear and penalties, but don't let that take away from the performance in Bahrain. That takes us to modern day, where Freddie Slater is set to have a seat in F3 next year with Trident, which sets him up really well. Trident's the best place an F3 driver can have at the moment, with them being the team to spearhead the past 3 drivers' champions of Gabriele Bortoleto, Leonardo Fornaroli, and Rafael Camara, so he might be able to follow suit. Now, with that being said, a point I've brought up continuously is the fact that Freddie Slater has not been a part of a driver academy all the way until now, where he just signed with Audi, and it was an incredible decision to make. We've seen in recent years that drivers tend to be a part of a driver academy for a very long time, and then struggle to find a seat with the team because by the time they're ready, the team has no drivers ready to vacate a seat. For example, Oscar Piastri went through Alpine and couldn't get a seat with the team until Fernando Alonso decided he wanted to pull the plug on the team. So he went to McLaren. Or think of how Théo Pourchaire had all that time in the Sauber Academy, but because of timing never lining up, he never got a shot in F1. Now, that still is a possibility, but with Audi, it lines up perfectly for an opportunity if Nico Hülkenberg were to retire in the next couple of years, or if Audi decided not to re-sign him. Now, this isn't me slandering Nico Hülkenberg, but you always have to keep age in mind as a factor in F1. By the time Slater is ready for F1, it'll be 2 years minimum, given he has 1 season in both F3 and F2. And if that is the case, a duo of Bortoleto and Slater could be a scary duo, especially if Audi becomes a top team by then. The strategy to not take these offers up is bold and definitely wouldn't work for all drivers, as a good amount would need financial support as well as early opportunities from F1 teams. But with the talent and resume that Freddie Slater has, and he has no signs of slowing down. It worked out incredibly well and introduces a new tactic in making it to F1, which has seemingly become so much more difficult as time has gone on. Now, of course, everything from here is not guaranteed. Formula 3 is where a lot of incredible talent struggles, with the different machinery and competition. Being at Trident also brings immense pressure because anything short of fighting for wins will be seen as underperforming. On top of that, Audi's long-term driver plans aren't set in stone, and Formula 1 timing is never as clean as it looks on paper. Talent gets you noticed, but timing and opportunity still decide who does actually make it. Anyways, I see a lot of promise in Freddie Slater, but what do you think? Is he really the next hot prospect in the sport, or am I just being a bit overzealous?